What if you could know everything I've learned about building a 6-figure pallet car business without wasting tons of money, like thousands of dollars, on rookie mistakes? The problem is YouTube is full of bits and pieces, but no complete blueprint. That's why I created this 3-hour masterclass, which will give you the pilot car business blueprint. This isn't just another video. This is your start to finish guide, a full compilation. We cover the 11 most critical topics, from the perfect car to what equipment do I need, to how do I drive as a pilot car driver, to booking $1.90 per mile loads, and dealing with brokers. If you watch just one thing from my channel, make it this. By the end, you will have the complete system to start your business confidently. Let's begin. The profession of pilot car driving is young. It started in the 70s as a regulated branch of the transport industry, but has been around off and on since the 50s. It has an interesting history that deserves its own research and publication. So what is the pilot car business all about? And why is it considered a profitable opportunity? The pilot car business is a simple way to become a business owner. And there is plenty of work. And with the use of a variety of load boards, you can find quickly work and get busy making money. These load boards show trips all over the US. In other words, you will find out that pilot car drivers are needed everywhere in the US. It also means that you do not have to engage in any selling of your services. It is rare for a pilot car driver to fail as a business owner. Just about everyone makes it and stays in it for years. Do you have a car? You probably can turn it into a pilot car by following a few requirements, such as signage, amber lights, and getting a CB radio installed. It really doesn't take much. The profession also has a state certification. 14 states in the US require certification, which can be done online by approved certification providers. From my viewpoint, however, the most important qualification for you to become a pilot car driver is, do you like driving? If you do, that's your job. I love driving. I love seeing the beautiful country of America. How much money can you make as a pilot car driver? $500 a day as a start? I literally can guarantee that this is what you will get from day one. Meaning you start out at your first day in business, you will get $500 on day one. I get more. Sometimes I get $1,000 a day. But that is rare. Do you start to see this opportunity? Are you getting excited? Remember that song, "Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more." That may be what you should say or you should do with your current job and become a pilot car driver instead. I'm just saying. And what do pilot cars do? States and counties have regulations regarding oversized load trucks. Certain loads require pilot car drivers that drive ahead of loads or behind a load. These pilot cars have a CB radio to communicate with the tracker and alert him to any hazards or impediments that may be ahead of him or coming up from behind. It's a simple method to make sure the tracker is warned of what is going on around him so he can take actions to stay safe. How fast can you get started? You can get started within days. The first step is to sign up with one of the certification providers, and while you wait for the certification webinar, you start setting up your car. You ask, why wait? Well, you have to sign up for the webinar and then usually wait a week or two until the webinar starts. These are live webinars and they get done when there's a certain amount of seats filled. Did I mention how easy it is to get started? It is, and it is a lot of fun. I have been doing it for many years and I love it. It has the air of adventure in the Wild West. You'll have the opportunity to work with the most experienced and capable truckers in the United States, because that is what it takes to drive an oversized load truck. Only the best are in this industry. You will help them and the public to stay safe. And that is exactly the purpose of a pilot car driver. Safety for the traveling public and the trucker. So why don't you hit the road, my friend, and participate in something that is truly exciting and truly rewarding. Become a pilot car driver. If you're interested in a professional pilot car course, then watch my webinar. The webinar is called 3 Ways to a 6-Figure Income as a Pilot Car Driver Without Asking Anyone for a Favor. The webinar link is below in the first comment, and it is in the description below. Part of that webinar is also that you get 3 very hot tips on how to make money as a pilot car driver. The next video is called The Ultimate Guide to Driving Independently. Aren't you tired of your job? Becoming a pilot car driver can be a pretty liberating idea, to be honest. You will become your own business man. You're gonna have your own business and you will be a business owner. Some of you might say, isn't it that most small businesses fail? Well, this is a valid point. The shocker is that 50% of all businesses fail after 5 years. And after 10 years, only 35 are left over, 35%. The rest is dead as a rock. In this video, I will show you how you take your step toward independence. And it is not difficult. Let me assure you about this. You can say, take this job and shove it and be your own boss for real. And if you like this subject, hit the like button and watch this video to the end, because this is how you pay for my services, okay? Now, I will tell you my story in detail. How did I really start out? The gruesome details are coming up. Now, you might say, I don't want to run a business because I might fail and I'm afraid this will happen. Or you might say, too much work, I just want to drive. Actually, for me, becoming an independent pilot car driver was a liberating idea. It was a liberating action. Let me give you some facts. When I started out as a pilot car driver, I had about $5,000 in debt. I had 2 credit cards. My credit rating was 620. This is not exactly great, but it is also not a disaster. Now, here's what I did. I first moved to Texas because I knew Texas was the most business-friendly state in the US. Texas has no business tax, no corporate tax, unless you make $1 million or more in revenue. And back then it only cost $100 to incorporate. So I hopped on my RV and drove to Texas and basically lived in an RV in Texas, and I was hanging out with a friend I had down there in San Angelo. I then went to Dallas and bought a car. I bought a Honda Odyssey. I paid $4,000 for this, and I took that money. I basically made a cash withdrawal from my credit cards to pay for that. Now, that costs a lot of interest, but anyway, I just did it. This was about in the middle of September 2019. I then Googled how to get a license or register as a company in Texas, and I found how to do this, applied for it, and got my license as a business in Texas. Once I had this license, I applied to Chase, the bank Chase of Manhattan or whatever it's called. I applied to them for a business credit card, and this was approved very rapidly. $6,000, just like that. Just because I had an LLC. That's what you really have to have. You have to have an LLC to get that credit card. And then I went on to, I Googled for certification. I knew from one of the videos I saw that you needed a certification as a pilot car driver. So I Googled, I found the first supplier of a certification course. I took it, paid $290 or something like that, and did the certification. It was literally a gamble. I actually had no clue of what I was doing. At the certification, I found out what equipment I will actually need to be a pilot car. It was a lot. I made a list, went on Amazon and bought one thing after another, using my cards, my credit cards, just like that. And then I bought an oversized load sign for the top of my car, and I paid for that, what, $400 or something like this. Then I bought a light bar, you know, for the top of the car. It was a piece of shit of a light bar, and I paid for it $750. Great. I also bought a CB radio with the wrong mic and the wrong antenna, but heck, I didn't know any better. And I drove to the TA in Weatherford and got the whole thing installed. At least I had something, even though I paid too much for the wrong things. And sort of an afterthought, boy, I need somebody to install this stuff because I don't know how to do this. So I found a couple of Mexicans in a town outside of San Angelo, really nice guys, really capable guys, and they installed it for $200. It took them 2 hours. They had to drill a hole in my roof for the wiring of the overhead light, for the light bar, and anyway, they did all this. Took them 2 hours. I paid $200, and I was ready to roll. But then I had a horrible thought. I actually don't know where to get the business. How do you get trips? Plus, I actually didn't know what you do as a pilot car driver. What do you say to the trucker? What do you bloody hell do? So I searched on the internet, and I found a pilot car course from a guy called Scott Woods. He back then had a pilot car course. He doesn't have one today anymore, but back then he had one. And I thought, great, I'm gonna buy this course. I paid $150 for it. I had this course. I started it. That course gave me some better viewpoint about the whole business. It definitely gave me very good addresses and phone numbers of brokers and carriers I can drive for. Then he also said in the course that if you really want to know how to drive, you should find somebody who will actually show you how to drive. Basically look for a ride along on a pilot car trip. And then I did that, and I found nobody. I actually found 2 possibilities, but both of them backed out. Oh no, no, I don't want to do it, or my boss says I shouldn't do that. Okay, good. So that didn't really help. So I went back onto YouTube and watched more pilot car videos. But these videos, frankly, really only show the pilot car driving behind a load or a pilot car driving before a load, and not really explaining what you are doing. So I basically said, okay, fine, I'm just gonna do it now, And I applied to ATS, and I applied to Daily Express. And the day later, after I applied to Daily Express, I had an email from Daily Express, them saying they needed a pilot car in Garden City. So I called back, said, I want this trip. They said, okay, go ahead. And I drove up from San Angelo to Garden City and got onto that trip. And as I've explained in other videos, that trucker was then basically kept me for a whole month and showed me how to be a pilot car driver. Based on the fact that I told him I'm a fairly new driver, which prompted him of originating to me saying, I'm going to show you how to do this business. I drove with a Daily Express driver for 1 month. In that month, I made $11,000. I was floored. I paid off all my cards. I felt like $1 million. I was 63 years old. This was in 2019. And I was a businessman. I have never been in my life before that a businessman. An independent businessman. I was my own boss. It was good. The only regret I had was, why didn't I start earlier? If you want to know how to get business as a pilot car driver and find out how networking works, then go to my webinar link below in the first comment or in the description and Watch that. Like I said before, I wasted $4,500 on the wrong car. Don't make my mistake. Here are the specs to look for. Hi everybody, today we're gonna take up questions that you brought up in the comments. So here is the first one. This is from Darren. What kind of vehicle do you recommend for this? Okay, so the vehicle that I recommend is a Sienna. That's what I drive. I drive a Toyota Sienna XLE. It's a 2007. Mine had 150,000 miles. When I bought it, it now has, literally it made it today to 400,000 miles. That was pretty impressive. And it's going, man. It's going. It's doing 25 miles per gallon. And I did have to have repairs. I did have to change the transmission on it at 350,000. That was the only big repair that I had to do. I absolutely swear by that. However, another good one is a Ford 150. And I would take the most simplest version and turn it into a pilot car. I think that one is also very good. Trying to drive around with these dinky little cars is not a good idea from my point of view, because you want to have a road presence, you understand? You don't want to have a dinky, shitty, banged up little car driving in one of these oversized trucks, and other drivers are just going to look down on you for having a shitty car. You understand? Your car has to communicate respect. The pickup truck is actually one that's best for that. Personally, I think my Sienna is doing good at this. It's a nice car. It has quite some size to it. It reacts very good. It has very low maintenance, very low expenses. It's cheaper. A Ford pickup is more expensive. However, that's also a durable truck. It's a good truck, but it's more expensive. Oil change is more expensive. The tires are more expensive. When you break a window, that's more expensive. You know, any service you have to do on that one is more expensive. So my thing is, I go by the Toyota Sienna. I don't want to do, for example, a Honda Odyssey. I tried that one. Wasn't happy with it. And if you don't like a Toyota Sienna, get a Ford 150 pickup. Great cars too. Now, the next question is from Terry. And Terry says, I notice videos are for someone who wants to run the business themselves. But what about those who want to work through a company? What are the differences and pros and cons? Well, okay. So yes, you're right. I'm totally for go alone. Do it alone. Doesn't mean that you should not have somebody who shows you the ropes. You drive with somebody. But otherwise, I think this is a business that you can literally start from scratch with not needing anybody's help. However, it is not everybody's liking. It's not everybody's thing to do that. Going with a company is definitely an option if you want to do that. However, there is not much to explain about it, because if you go with a company, they basically gonna do everything for you. Everything. You have to still get your own certification. You have to get your car. Not necessarily. Some companies tell you that they have a car for you. They pay the insurance, give you the equipment. They have you set up on trip sheets that you have to fill out after every trip. They get you the money in your account. There are some very good ones out there. I cannot really recommend one. One way of finding them, go to Facebook groups that are for pilot car drivers, and especially those that have a bigger membership. Some of them have like thousands of members. Those Facebook groups have owners of pilot car companies that look for new drivers, often ask for somebody, you can call them up, and then you just should ask them, what do they do, how do they operate, and so forth, and then make a decision which one you like, and then go with them. All right, big difference, because I'm money greedy. So when you go alone, you make way more money. When you go with a company, it's more safer, you're more taken care of. However, you make less money. Okay, the next question. This is Shapa Beats Production. Okay, here we go. Herbert, I'm trying to get into business as well. I watched your videos with the rates, etc. But still don't really understand how much can you gross. If you work 5 to 6 days a week, can you make around 3,000 week gross? Thank you. Okay, yes, you can make 3,000 Personally, I wouldn't set my target that high. I just start out. If you make 2,500, it's also pretty good. You definitely can make 3,000. I would say you can work it up to, $4,000. If you have been into this for a year or 2 years, you're doing business all over the US. You're not restricting yourself to areas. If you just go always where the business is, you will make a lot of money. But to start out 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000, absolutely real. And now, my friends, we are coming to the tips and tricks section. Okay, so the tip for today is how to get a shower for free on the road. You can get a free shower if you go to a Pilot or a Flying J. They offer free showers for pilot car drivers. How do you get them? You need that. This is basically their membership card. You get that card at the store, and then you call up the number in the back. At the bottom of the car, down here, is a phone number. You call that phone number and you tell the person that you are a commercial driver. And you tell the person that you are not having a vehicle that needs diesel. You have a vehicle that needs gasoline. So you would like to get the showers and you would like to know how many gallons you need to fill up in order to get a shower. What the guy is going to tell you is, at least that's what he did for me. He said, how many gallons do you put in your car, And I said, 20 gallons. And he said, okay, good. If you fill up your tank with 14 gallons minimum, you will get a half a shower. 2 tanks, 1 shower for free. That's the way to go. Get your free shower. Get your free shower. Get your free shower from Pilot. I don't get any money for that. I'm not affiliated with them, but it's a bloody great idea. Okay? See you in the next video. The next video is called How to Start Your Pilot Car Business in the next 24 hours. No fancy permits. Here is how you start the adventure of your life. Did you know that starting a pilot car business can be done in 24 hours? Let's dive in how you can make it happen with minimal expenses. The first step is you have to decide where you are going to work, meaning in which state you're going to work. Why is that? Well, one of the steps normally is that as a pilot car driver, you have to get a certificate before you can start driving as a pilot car driver. Well, there are states in the US that do not require a certificate. This is just as part of this challenge. We want to avoid states that require one to have a certification because it takes weeks before you get to it, and then you have to pay between $300 and $400 or something like this. I think it goes between $260 and $360. All right. So we want to take for this challenge here to do it in 24 hours at a minimal expenses. We're going to take these states out of the equation. Okay. So what are the states that require certification? Here we go. Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Kansas, Louisiana, Minnesota, New York, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Washington. That's Washington State. Now, the next set of states we are going to exclude are the states that require a pilot car to have a top sign. This is a sign that goes on the rooftop of the car. They are fairly expensive. They go between $360 and $890. So we want to take it also out of the equation because it's a huge expense. Here is the map now of the states that require a top sign. This is the dark green. States that require certification, which is the light green. Now this leaves us with the following states that are available for us to drive: Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, DC, Illinois, Indiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Nevada. Nevada has a little additional thing is that you have to get a amber light permit, which you can do on the internet. It costs, I think, $1 or $2. and they send you a little certification that you have that permission to use an amber light on your car. And then next, New Mexico is another one. You have to do an inspection at the port if you enter New Mexico for the first time. Again, that's something you do as part of the oversized load trip, and truckers usually are very much accommodating for you to give you space to do that. Okay. Next state is Ohio, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota. So in total, we have 19 states where we can drive tomorrow. Yeah. Given, do you have a car? If you have a car, not a problem. If you don't have a car, you got to get a car. And you're right now disqualified, okay? But I'm sure every one of you has a car. The next step is the equipment list. But I want to sort of stay a little bit longer here on the map to give you an idea what you could do. Instead of just going for these 19 states, there's another thing you could do. And that is that you actually do get your certification. And then you're going to have all the states on that map that you see in front of you, all the gray states and all the light green states are now available to you to drive in. You still would be in a pretty good position, you understand, to drive if you have a certification and you just avoid the states that require a top sign for now, meaning a sign that says oversized load on top of the car. Let's take that out of the equation for now. And let's look at the map, how it would look like if you get certified and you do not have a top sign or a light bar on top of the car. If you do want to get your certification, you have to schedule this at least 10 days in advance. You will use the waiting time to get your equipment, meaning you sign up for the certification and wait 10 days or more or whatever. And during that time, you set up your car with the equipment. As you can see, if you do it like this, you will have 39 states to drive in, which will boost your income. This is the strategy that I recommend. How much money can you make if you do not do the certification and you only drive in 19 states and you do not obtain a top sign, an oversized load sign on top of your car, and a light bar? I estimate you would make about $200 a day. That's not bad, but it's not going to get you into the 100K Paddock Car Driver Club. If you want to get into that club, watch my webinar called 3 Ways to a 6-Figure Income as a Paddock Car Driver without asking anyone for a favor. Below in the description, there is a link to that webinar. Plus, I also put a link into the first comment. Next, we're going to look at the equipment. What equipment do you need to buy minimum in order to drive as a paddock car driver? Here we go. These are effective lights. I have the same ones. Next, CB radio. Next, the antenna for the CB radio. You need a sign that you put on the door, on the passenger door and the driver's side door. It gives your name of the company, city you are from, state, city and state, and then the phone number. This is a very good link here where you can get this done on Amazon. But you can also go to a Staples and get it done there. Next is flags on each side of the car. These are 18 square flags. And then we have mounting devices that go along with them. And I'm showing you here 2 different mounting devices. One is with a magnet of this one here. And then the next one is a metal one that you have to screw to the side of the car. Then you need flags on each side of the fenders. This is just certain states want you to have these. These flags have straps on it. They're 18-inch wide. Then you need a stop slow paddle. You need an orange vest. Now this orange vest here that you see allows you to put a name on it. The name I want you to put on is paddock car operator. The next item is 4 flags. These are flags that have a 3 foot staff, and they are 24 inches square. The next one is 3 emergency triangles, 3 orange cones. They are only 18-inch cones. 1 fire extinguisher, a 5-pound one, a hard hat, 8 red flares. That's specifically demanded in New Mexico. And the ones you see are actually LED flares. And then, of course, you need a little emergency kit. Below, I've added a link to the best pilot car load board so you can find a load right away. As a note, the data that I give you here are based on a book with the title United States Truckers Regulations on Oversized Load and Pilot Car Directory. You should have a copy of this book. You can buy it in a truck stop or just Google it and you'll find stores that sell it. You're responsible for the correctness of your equipment and therefore you must have a copy of that book. If anything is found wrong by a trooper, you can't blame me, so make sure you have the right equipment. Now let's figure out what does it cost to drive in these 19 states. You need a car, and I bet you have this already. So let's take that out of the equation. As a point on the car, don't drive a car that is like a little Fiat or a little smart car. That is a car that is not allowed. Now, how could you get this equipment in 24 hours? Well, the only way you could do this in 24 hours is if you live close to a big TI or Petro truck stop that has a CB radio shop attached to it. Then you can buy this within 24 hours. The downside of that is that buying it at a place like that is expensive. The prices at the truck stops are just much higher than on Amazon, for example. So I strongly recommend that you buy your equipment on Amazon. That's going to take longer, so it is again not within 24 hours, but at least you save on money and you'll get it in within a week. The equipment will cost $936, and that is based on the Amazon prices. In the description below, you will find a link to every one of these items that we just went over. To find the CB radio shop, you simply Google CB shop near me, and that will give you a whole list of CB shops that you can choose from. The next thing you will need is insurance, and I have a playlist up here, up here. There's a link that you can watch, which gives you all the data how to get the best insurance and the cheapest insurance. So in summary, here are the options you have to become a pilot car driver. Option number 1, you can get on the road within 24 hours if you live near big truck stop that's either a TA or a Petro and has a CB shop attached to it. You do not need to make their certification in that case. It's only in 19 states. And you will make $200 a day. Option number 2, you can get on the road if you get a pilot car certification, and this will allow you to drive in 39 states. And that excludes states that require you to have an oversized load on top of the car and a light bar. The certification will cost you $260 and the equipment will cost you $936. I estimate you will make about $300 a day by choosing option 2. Option 3, if you have the money to buy a top sign and a light bar, you can drive in all 48 states and you will make $500 a day or more. I personally started out with option 3, and that was in 2019, and I made over $10,000, well over $10,000 in my first month. The next video is called What Equipment Do You Need? When it comes to equipment, you got 2 problems. Either you buy too much or you buy too little. Both will cost you dearly, especially when you buy too little. Are you compliant with the latest regulation? You don't want to get a surprise inspection and then flunk it, and neither do you want to find a well-paying trip to somewhere just to find out you're not set up to drive through a certain state because you're lacking equipment or certification. That would be horrible. In this video, I'm going to give you the latest regarding certification and equipment. But I'm also going to give you the data to drive in all 50 states. In short, this video is going to be the one-stop info center for your legal requirements as a pilot car driver to drive all over the US. If you only wanted to drive as a local driver in your state or a certain area in the US, do not watch this video. Instead, watch the video regarding local pilot car driving, and somewhere up there is going to be a link where you can watch that video. This video here is regarding driving in all the 50 states of the US. So, now, watch this video to the end. Every piece of this video is important. You don't want to miss anything, because it could cost you money. Those of you who want to be professional from the very start and make the maximum amount as a pilot car driver, click on the webinar link below. See the description and the first comment. This webinar will give you the 3 successful ways to a 6-figure income as a pilot car driver without asking anyone for a favor. This webinar will also introduce you to my new pilot car course. Here is a summary of the requirements that you have to fulfill as a pilot car driver. I suggest you take a screenshot of that summary. Get a car, van, or pickup truck to drive as a pilot car. Take the Utah certification, which is online. To drive in Florida, do a defensive driver course online unless you have a CDL. To drive in Pennsylvania, do a National Flagger course with ATSSA, American Traffic Safety Service Association, online. To drive in New York, do their certification at a local DMV, but do it after you have done the Utah one. To drive in Louisiana, apply for a Louisiana permit online. To drive in Nevada, get a Nevada Amber Light permit. To drive in New Mexico, get a New Mexico pilot car permit by simply driving with an oversized load to a New Mexico port, and you will get an inspection to verify that you are in compliance with the New Mexico regulations. Get a 1 million general liability to drive as a chase and lead driver, and get a 1 million commercial auto and add Pennsylvania as an additional insured to the insurance. The next part of this video is the equipment that you will need to drive as a pilot car driver. First, let me show you a map. The green states are the states that require a top sign. The yellow states are the states where you may use a top sign or a bumper sign. The red states are the states that require a bumper sign. In the next section, I will show you the equipment that you will need. This has changed much compared to the earlier video I did in 2019. All the items you will find here are on a list with affiliate links in the description section below. Now, you will notice that some of these items that I'm listing here in the below description section give you more than one option. So just read what it says above the affiliate link so you know what you're supposed to click on. Let's get right into it. First item is the traffic cone. This is a 36-inch traffic cone. You need 3 of them. The stop paddle, slow paddle. You need 2 of them. 9 reflective triangles. This one has 3 in them. You need 3 such packages. Pretty heavy. Glow sticks. These are light sticks. This one has 10, is a 10 pack. You need 8 for that. I'm using these glow sticks, not the flareable that get hot, because Oklahoma requires them. That's why we have them. 2 oversized load banners. You have to carry them even if you have a rack with an oversized load sign on it. Class 3 orange safety vest. So the vests are a little cheaper. This one is a little bit more expensive, but more useful from my point of view. Orange hard hat. There you go. That's what you need. You mainly need this when you are on a construction site, walking around on it, or when you go flagging, you need that too, that's required. 10-pound fire extinguisher. The CB handheld radio. Why do you need a CB handheld radio when you already have a CB radio in the car? Well, if you step outside the car, you need that baby to communicate with the trucker. And you need 2 of them in case one of them goes down, you have another one in reserve. That's the reason for it. Here we have the wand. This is another traffic direction tool during dark hours. There you go. Doom, 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 doom. The flashlight. Special flashlight 1.5 inches big here, must be for D-cell batteries. Requirement. Next, a first aid kit. And then you need 2 flags like this. This is this is on a 36-inch staff, and yeah, you need 2 of them to direct traffic. Next is load flags. These are the load flags that actually go on the oversized load truck. You have to carry them. There's 8 of them. This is basically in case something falls off the truck and he doesn't have a replacement, you're supposed to carry replacements for that. Also, what is required is spare batteries for for anything that you have. But I just show you that needs a battery, you need a spare battery. Also, what is required is flags. These are the flags that go onto the rack that is on top of your car. When the rack I specifically have, you get these flags for free. They actually send you 4 of them. They're pretty long lasting. One of them has lasted me like half a year, and this is 2 ones that I've never used. I'm still using the first ones. Other things you need is a spare tire in your car, and there are tools to replace the tire, and you need a cell phone. This is also a required item. That's it. Now we're going to go out to the car, and I'm going to go specifically over a few points more regarding the fixed equipment in the car. What you see here is the standard setup. This is the oversized load sign. Below is the amber light that's fixed onto the rack. And left and right you have the red flags, which I showed you in the other video when we were inside. So you get 4 of those when you buy that rack there. That amber light I have there is a fairly expensive one. There is actually found that same amber light cheaper on Amazon. However, what's important about that amber light is it has to have a width between 43 and 52 inches in order to drive anywhere in the US. A few more words on the fixed equipment on the car, meaning the top sign, the CB radio, and the light bar. For the CB radio, you also need a mic and an external speaker. The CB radio I recommend is the Cobra Classic 29 LTD. There are 2 microphones that are considered the best. One is the Astatic, and the other one is the Rode King. For the antenna, I recommend Little Will, which is from Wilson. I suggest this one for all cars and minivans. If you want an antenna that has an extra large reach, I recommend the Striker SR-A10. This is an antenna I used on my minivan. You have to make sure that you tell the technician who is there at the shop that you want your CB radio tuned as well as your antenna. Next, let's look at the light bar. I'm going to show you different light bars. Okay, the ones I'm showing you here are all either for cars or for minivans. If you drive a pickup truck, you can just pick about any light bar that is suitable for a big truck. You will see also these light bars that I'm showing you, they have different prices. However, they all have the size required in order to drive in all US states. Before we speak about the top sign, realize that you do not have to have it if you're not interested to drive in all US states. Look at the map at the beginning of this video. This map will show you in which states you cannot drive if you don't have a top sign. If you don't want to do the top sign, I will give you an option below how you can add the required flags to your van or car with flag holders that go on top of your car. That's much cheaper. But you can't drive in a bunch of states then. So back to the actual rack sign. There is a bunch of them out there that come at various prices. What I did is below you will find a list of URLs. These are not affiliate links. These are just URLs, and it will give you various racks that you can look at. I recommend the rack top sign from Barney. This is Barney Pilot Car Equipment in Oregon. I have this one and I had it for 5 years. If anything is broken or used up too much, looks tacky or rusty, after 2 years, they will replace it for free. You may also want to see what used items you might find on Facebook. Just search Pilot Car groups on Facebook and you will get a list of them. Some of these groups have sections where they actually cover the selling of used equipment. The next video is called How to Get Loads. I have seen people put up videos on YouTube about how to get business for your pilot car company and then not saying a bleeping thing about it where you actually can get that business from. If you want to know more about this, pay me by hitting the like button. What is amazing is that I never tell you where you actually get that business for your company. In this video, I'm going to tell you where you get the business from and what are some of the promotional actions you should absolutely take in order to obtain a lot of business. The first one is called Pilot Car Load Board. In terms of quality, they are the best pilot car load board. Find their website and then you will get text messages with loads. What I like most about them is that they give you a lot of information about each of the loads. Here is what it looks like on my phone. The next one is called Load Covered. Now that one also has a lot of loads, but it doesn't have as good as an information about each load as the one I just mentioned earlier. However, you should have it too. Both of them, both of these websites, each of them costs about $15 a month. But this, frankly, is money spent well, and it can be tax deductible. By getting these two load boards and by using it, you will then start to collect up contacts in your phone book that you can call back later for loads. Building up these contacts in your phone is very important to get actually a database of clients for yourself. This is my 5th year as a pilot car driver and I'm still using these load boards. Even though other pilot car drivers might tell you, oh, I don't use them, they are, whatever, not good, whatever. I don't agree with this. They are a constant source of loads and a constant source of clients that you can work with in the future. And maybe when you get really well established in the business, you don't need them probably, but I'm still using them. But this is not all. There are more sources where you can get business. So watch this video to the end. Probably 99% of you are on my channel because they want to become pilot car drivers. So I wonder, why do you want to become a pilot car driver? What are you trying to achieve by becoming a pilot car driver or by doing the work of a pilot car driver? What do you want to achieve? And what are the challenges you have to become a pilot car driver? If you tell me, this will help me to help you. Now back to the business sides of things. I understand most of you consider the subject of getting business for your pilot car company very important. And you are right. It is very important. But it is something that doesn't have to worry you. Now stay with me because I'm going to give you more carriers that you can do business with. The first one is ATS, Anderson Tracking Systems, atsinc.com. To apply, call 1-800-309-5815. ATS has a department that is called Sentinel Pilot Cars. They are pilot car dispatchers that will get the loads for you. ATS or Sentinel have their own load board and there is a website for it, and the website is secureats.com. Get familiar with this because it has very good loads at times, and as I told you in earlier videos, ATS pays very well and quick. The next one is Daily Express, and their website is dailyexp.com. To apply, call 717-240-2118. Once you have signed up, they will put you on an email list and they will alert you to loads through their email. Okay. Another one is Combined Transport. Their website is combinedtransport.com. And their phone number is 800-547-2870. They also will put you on a list. They don't send emails out. They don't have a load board, but you can check with them for loads. You can just call the dispatcher, tell him where you are, and ask him if there is any loads nearby. Now, I also made up a list of brokers that have regular loads, lots of loads, and these brokers have all a good reputation. I put that list on my website, and below in the description you will find a link to my website to get that list. Now, I'm telling you, you should print that list and have a hard copy in your car so you can quickly look at that list and call them or check it against any other loads that you see on the load board and see if they are on the good broker list. I'm not telling you that this is the only brokers you can use. There are other brokers. Frankly, generally speaking, any broker you can get on the pilot car load board list are good brokers. Now stay with me. There are 3 more hot tips I'm going to give you to get business. The number 1 tip is a business card. You can get this at Staples. I just went to Staples, got a business card, easy, quick. Every time you run with a trucker, at the end of the run, give that trucker a business card from you. Now let's say you are on a truck stop after you have finished a load and you're looking for another load. What you do at that moment is 1, you look for the alerts on your phone that come in from the load boards, like from load covered or pilot car load boards. Then you check your email. You keep an eye on your email because something might come in from Daily Express on that. Then you keep your eye on the ATS website, see what ATS has available. And then you still have that sheet from me that you downloaded in your car, and you can call those guys if they haven't shown up on the load board. The 3rd tip is sign up on a website called uspilotcars.com. That website is a website which has a register of all the pilot car companies in the US. A lot of truckers, carriers, and other pilot car drivers check on that website in order to find a pilot car that they need, nearby them. You sit in Texas, you need a pilot car. It has been for me actually a pretty good inflow of business. I just get called up out of the blue by somebody, are you available? To drive as a pilot car driver, you need insurance. However, you do not find in this sequence here a video on insurance. This is a separate video. You'll find the link here, or you can find the link in the description below. So to get all your insurance data, watch that video. You can do that after you're done with these videos here. The next video is called Your First Trip. Da-da! What are you gonna do? My first load was a disaster. Here is how you avoid screaming truckers. Here is how you avoid screaming truckers and a $5,000 loss. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you should do when you start your first trip. This is really for those who have never done this before and they are going to face having to start their first trip. And I'm also going to tell you how it went for me when I did my first trip. It's a little story, okay? So the very first thing you have to do is you have to find a load. Like I took it up in my earlier video, you can go to register with Daily Express, you can register with ATS, and you can go to Load Covered, or another website is called Cover My Load, and get trips from there. And then you are going to call the broker. When you reach the broker, you are going to be calm and collected. You're not going to make the impression that you're a complete newbie who doesn't know what he's doing. You're going to be calm and collected, and you say to the broker, I just saw your notice on Load Covered, a trip from Ohio to Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming, is it still available? And the broker says, yeah, it's still available. Okay, so what are your rates? So there, when you then tell him, my rate is since you're doing a chase, your rate is 135 or 145. You can pick one of the two. I would just really go for 135, so to make sure that you really get the load, because you have to start driving to get experience. Unless you drive, you won't improve. That's a fact of life. Now, what the broker then next does is he says, okay, good. Oh yeah, no, I forgot. What you should also say is not just my rate is 135 or 145, whatever you want to do. You should also then tell him, and for a hotel night I charge 70 or 75, and for a no-go I charge $150 plus a hotel night. And the broker says, okay, sounds good. And he says, okay, I'm going to send you a text message with the phone number and the name of the trucker, so you have to call him up and get in communication with him to find out where you have to be and when you have to be there. Okay, so that's the end of the talk with the broker. Brokers usually don't know what the load is really about. They know often the miles though. They know the permitted miles. And that's something you could ask him for, but you can also figure this out. Now, okay, you want to keep this, you don't want, let's not put anything extra in there. You can ask him for the permitted miles of that trip. That's actually not a bad question to ask. Okay, and that's that. So now next is you call right away the trucker. You don't let grass grow under your feet on that, because sometimes these truckers, while they give the trip to a broker to find a paddle car for him, the trucker gets on the phone himself and looks himself for a paddle car. And then if you call him up too late, he says, oh, I already got a paddle car. That's fuck up, you know. Okay, I have to edit this. It's no bueno. It's not good. So call the trucker right away and tell him, hi, my name is Herbert. I'm your chase on the trip from Ohio. Let me know, please tell me, where are you currently? And then he says, well, I'm on exit 15 on the 70 or something like this. And that is something, if you're familiar with that area, that may be fine. I never accept something like this. I say, okay, can you send me a pin of your map point? Another thing is to say, send me the address. You know, if he can't send you a pin of the address and he doesn't know how to do it, and there's no way you're going to get a pin from him, saying, all right, just please send me the address of where you are. Okay. I had about 4 really upsetting experiences by not getting the exact data where he is. You also might want to ask him, what truck do you have? Oh, I have a yellow Peterbilt. Oh, that's great, man. A yellow Peterbilt is going to be very visible. You're going to find this. You get into one of these truck stops, there are hundreds of trucks in there, and you have to find him there. So a waypoint, if you have a waypoint, you actually know the exact point in that truck stop where he is. Okay? So that's what I absolutely would go for. Give me a waypoint. Anyway, again, the talk with the trucker, keep it calm, cool, and collected, and find out when you have to be there and where you have to be. So the next point is you're going to go there. Now you want to schedule your trip in a way so you at least arrive 1 hour before the time the trucker requested you to be there. Why? First of all, you want to get yourself ready. You know, if you had to have a long trip before you got there, you want to refresh, you know, get anything, food, but anything you want, and then you have to put up the signage on your car, and then you inform the trucker, I'm here now, and then he comes out of the truck, you go up to him and you tell him, I'm Herbert, how are you? And he says, well, yeah, I'm Joe, I'm fine, and how are you? And so forth, the classic American introduction. And then
usually they then start gonna talk immediately. Okay, so we're gonna do this Wyoming ride. It's not a big deal, he says. I've done this 15 times. I know what I'm doing. You're just gonna be behind me and let me know if there's any problem back there, And then you say, okay, good. Is there anything specifically you want me to pay attention to? Keep an eye on the chains. We don't want any of these chains to get loose. You could say things like this. Or he could say, well, don't give me every 4 that comes up from behind. I don't care if a 4 comes. Just tell me the 18s. Or some things say, I don't want to know about 4s. I don't want to know about 18s. I just want to know if an oversized wants to pass me. All right? Tell me about those. And okay, so you listen to all these things and you take them in, you take note of this, and you definitely promise to do that or improve that or follow that, okay? Now, the other thing I would tell him is, by the way, I am a fairly new pilot car driver. I am fairly new at this, and I'm totally happy to receive any sort of directions from you. That is a good thing to say. It's the truth. It's a good thing to say. The trucker is going to be happy about this, and he's going to be very happy about helping you out on this. At the end of the trip, you send your invoice to the broker. And that's the end of the story. On my first pilot car trip, I did not tell the trucker that I was brand new. Or fairly new. I just, went through the whole motion that I just explained to you, didn't tell him anything about my experience, and went on the trip. And then I did a bunch of little mistakes. First I was calling out too much, and I forgot calling out something. Then I once went into the oncoming lane as a chase car driver. Went into the oncoming lane like too long time. He got worried about that. Anyways, it was like a whole bunch of things I did that freaked him out. So the trucker then, the trip is over, and the trucker comes out of the truck and walks toward my car and says, I came out of my car too, and he says to me, "Are you brand new at this?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm fairly new." He says, "I was thinking about that." He said, "You should have told me this. If I would have known that you were a little new, I would have helped you out a little bit more." Stupid from me. I should have told him. So I want to make sure you do this. You tell a trucker, I'm fairly new, because they like to help. They like to help you. Out. They absolutely hate it when somebody pretends. I tell you, I have seen the most disgust from truckers about people that pretend. One trucker even told me, I rather have a guy who is fairly new that I can mold into a pilot car driver that is a good one. There was a daily truck driver who told me this. And also, by the way, my first truck driver was also a daily truck driver. These daily truck drivers helped me a lot. I got built by them. I could say I almost got built by them.
The next 2 videos are about driving a chase car. That's the pilot car in the rear. Nobody will teach you how to drive a chase car. Not even the expensive certification course covers the heart and soul of pilot car driving. Pilot Car 101 will bring you the dope for free. So now let's talk a little bit about chase, because this is the type of load you want to start with. You don't want to do anything else but chase in the beginning. So when you go on load covered, you look for chase messages. Okay, basic things about the chase. First of all, let's assume you're going on a 4-lane highway, 2 oncoming lanes, 2 outgoing lanes. So now, what you have to do there is you have to tell the trucker what's coming up behind him, because most oversized loads don't see very well behind them. So in any case, you want to let them know the trucker. You want to let the trucker know what's coming up. Usually they want to know if there's a big truck coming up, an 18-wheeler. So that's the slang for it. 18-wheeler coming up. All right. If you are on a two-lane highway, one lane on you are on one lane, and then there's one lane coming at you. On a two-way highway, on a two-lane highway, I would announce every single thing that comes up from behind. If it's a two-wheeler, a motorcycle, a four-wheeler, a car, a pickup truck, or a large truck, a 18-wheeler. Also, you can specify, if it's a pickup truck with a trailer behind him, that's something that's a little bit more dangerous than a normal car or normal pickup. Then you tell him 4 with a tag coming up. Okay? So it's 4 coming up, 4 with a tag coming up, 18 coming up. The trucker also is going to change lanes on a 4-way highway, on a 4-lane highway. Some truckers are going to tell you over the CB, I'm going to take the left lane, or I'm going to take the left lane, or is the left lane free? And in that moment, you swing into the left lane and block it, basically, so nobody can pass him. And you tell him over the CB says, the left lane is yours, or left lane is clear. Now, another thing that is part of the trucker pilot car slang is the name of the lanes. If you are on a 4-lane highway, you are running in 2 lanes. The left lane, the closest to the median, is called lane 1. The next lane over is called lane 2. The next lane over is called lane 3, and lane 4, whatever, how many lanes there are. So the trucker may sometimes say to you, I'm going to take lane 1. And you could say, lane 1 clear. In other words, you swing into lane 1, you make sure you don't bump into anybody, of course. You check your back mirror, it's safe to get over there. You get over there, and you tell him, lane 1 clear, or lane 1 is yours. Now, 2 types of truckers. And that is, you got truckers that will tell you, I want lane 1, or I'm going to make a right turn, can you block the right for me? Or a trucker is going to tell you, just watch my blinker. This is something that has to be determined before you start the trip. You can say to the trucker, you want me just to watch your blinkers, or are you going to tell me any lane changes? And he's going to say, yeah, both, or yeah, watch my blinkers. A lot of them say this, just watch my blinkers, which is okay. There's no problem with it, actually. So in that case, you drive behind the truck. You are in lane 2, let's say, on a 4-lane highway, and suddenly puts out the blinker on the left. At the moment you check your back mirror, it's safe, you swing over, you're in the lane, and he then probably sees you already blocking that lane, and then he's swinging over. In some cases, he may not, if it's a wide loader where he just doesn't see in the back, he might not see you when you are driving into the left, into the lane 1. In that case, you tell him, I've got lane 1. So he starts blinking to the left, you swing over, and you say, I've got lane 1. Easy. Okay, I'm going to show you a video now that shows exactly what a chase car does. That pilot car driver is not saying the things exactly the way I say them, which is okay. All you need to do is say it in a way so the driver understands it, okay? Watch it, it's very educating.
We got one left. After this Jeep, we got one more. Coming up your left. Okay, we're good for one left, or to the right, I mean. Hang on there a second, we got one racing up. Okay, after Massachusetts, you got the right. That's it. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, click like. If you didn't like it, don't say anything. Okay? If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. See you at the next video. This video is going to give you the remaining functions of a chase car. These are the functions that I haven't communicated in the first video. So here's the second part with all the remaining functions that a chase car has to do. Okay? The first clip I'm going to show you is a very wide load. It's actually a super load. You will see there is a red car right in front of the chase car. That red car contains a steerman.
for the purposes of this video, you can just ignore that car. Okay, the main point is the chase car is in common with the tracker, and what I want to show you with this clip is that the chase has to keep the tracker informed as to what is happening with the back of his trailer, because the tracker can't see back there. The chase car can see it, and he has to keep the tracker informed about it. So there you go.
Okay, Bill, look good around that turn. You're good back here.
Alrighty, I gotta get over to the left to make this right-hand corner. There's gonna be a bunch of islands. I'm gonna be creeping.
Okay, so now I'm gonna show you this clip again, but this time, let's assume this is a load that is, longer, and let's assume that it is coming close to the stop sign that's on the left. As you have seen in the video, there is a stop sign to the left, and there is actually one on the right as well. So if this load would have been longer, it would have come closer to the stop sign, and the tracker would have to would need to know about it. In this case, the chase car didn't talk about it because it wasn't a point of any danger. Okay, but so let's assume this would be a longer load and it would come closer to the stop sign, and you would have to inform the trucker. How is that done? 10 feet to the stop sign, 5 feet to the stop sign, and you cleared the curve. Okay, so now there could be also another scenario, which is that the load is so long that it would, like a blade, for example, that it could swing out in the back and hit that stop sign, which is on the right. What you do in that case is the same that you would do, which I just showed you, with the stop sign on the left. You just inform him how close the load is to the stop sign, and when it clears the stop sign. And if it doesn't clear it, you say stop, and you say that very loud and very clear, so that it hits the brake, and then you guys can figure out how to get around it. He might have to back up, etc. There's different solutions he has available to do this, but you are the one who calls the shots on this, and that's why it is important to know that. There's one thing I forgot to tell you, which I should have told you right in the beginning of the video. I'm going to tell you now before we get to the next video clip. But this is, watch this entire video until the very end. Because at the very end, I'm telling you a very important datum that is vital to know for a chase car driver. Okay? So please stay with me on this to the very end. Okay, so now let's watch the next video clip. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, here we go.
Right's looking all right so far. You're clear. Still clear.
Stop me before I go up on the curb.
If you're going to go up on the curb, you got about 6 inches.
Good to go back? Remember, you got another 3 feet. 2, 1. Alright, right there. How's that looking now?
Go ahead, I'm watching your tires. So far, so good. I'll let you know when you're getting close. You're good on that cement block in the road there, in the side. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm waiting for him to tell me when you're going to get off the curb here. Let me know when he's ready to come off the curb. All right, hold on. Watch that car coming up on your left. Go ahead, you're going over nicely. Rocks are helping beautifully. You're off.
Come on up, Bill. Got 1 4 speed past you. Grab that left lane. Okay, a couple of flyers coming up.
Grab that left lane.
Okay, Billy, looking good on your left.
Look good on the right.
In the next clip, we're gonna have a long load, and in that case, there is a high pole driving ahead of the load and the chase in the back.
Clear the corner.
Oh, it looks like we might have a low wire right here. Yeah, you're going to have to try to get to a side where it raises a bit and let it slide over.
Quick, you got it. Okay.
Yep, didn't touch it.
Okay, so the reason I showed you the last example is so you could see that the chase tells the trucker a barricade, an impediment, a dangerous point has been cleared. In that case, and that happens quite often, the front car finds a point of hazard or danger, like in that case, a low-hanging wire. So he calls it out, the trucker takes action based on this, and then the chase is telling the trucker when he cleared that obstacle. Okay, so you can clearly hear this. Now this could be the same for a skinny bridge, for example. The front car, the lead car, the high pole, whatever is calling out says skinny bridge, and the truck then goes over the skinny bridge, and the moment the truck has passed the skinny bridge, the chase car says cleared the bridge. You know, it's very important for the trucker to know that it cleared and that he's out of the danger zone. That's why I showed you that particular piece. Okay, now we have another one. Okay, so the following thing I'm going to show you is what is the view of a trucker to the back of his trailer in an oversized load. And this is something that's very important to know for a chase car. The dark spot here, and I'm sorry for this crude drawing, but I didn't have any, I'm not a fancy designer, I'm actually no designer at all. So what I'm going to show you here is the dark spot here. This is the head of the trucker inside the trucker cabin. Okay, this is the front where the engine sits. This is the rear of the semi-truck, and then this is the oversized load. Now, what you see here and here are the mirrors of the trucker. So he sits in there and he looks in that mirror and he looks in that mirror to see something, what's behind him. Okay. Now, what you see here is the view from his left mirror. You see, and he can see here and he can see about up to here. He does not see anything that's happening here or here, because you can see on this side too, he just sees nothing, literally nothing. So now you as a chase car, you sit kind of back here, okay? Let's say this is your car here. You can see from here, from the back, what's happening. You know, for example, if he does this turn now, let's see, he's doing a left turn here. Okay, he's going on a road on a left turn. So now you can just envision how this load is going to turn. You know, this back part here is always going to go off track. In other words, the trucker is going to make a line like this, and the trailer is going to make a line like that. You see, it's going to turn more to the inside than what he's actually steering in the front. So if anything is sitting here, you know, like let's say a traffic sign is sitting here. So he's now pulling over here, and the load is then coming over this way. So by the time this thing comes to this point here, it's going to hit that traffic sign here, or that pole, or light post, anything, another car. So you sit back here, and then you tell him you're coming close to this here, because he doesn't see. He doesn't see. All right? Now here's another important datum. Here is the trucker. This is his right window. This is his left window. So now I'm going to draw another view in here. And this is when he looks out that window, he has about that much view. That's what he can see. Okay? He does not see anything that's, for example, let's say, this is a corner, and there is a car coming on here. Let's say a car is coming here. This is another car coming here, this way. Okay. He is not going to see that car because the mirror goes here. His view from the window goes here. You see that? Unlike you, in your pickup truck, in your minivan, in your normal car, you have a front view, you have a view out of your right window and your left window, and you have a back window on the back passenger side on the right, and you have a window that goes out the back. He does not have any of this. He can't see to the back. He can't see. He doesn't have here another window where he can look through here. He doesn't. He has only a view. You see how limited his view is in that moment? Once you accept that datum, that he is not going to see more than that, you will understand what you have to alert him to. This is also, you find this often on roads that go like this. Here's a road, and then there is an off ramp, an exit ramp from the highway. So it merges here. So when the truck comes in here, let's say this is the semi with this oversized load, again, he can look out here. He does not see what comes here. So you sit back here, but you can tell him, hey, there's a 4-wheeler coming on your right, stop. Do you see that? That's a similar scenario. Both happen frequent. So you have to be aware of both scenarios. Okay, so basically that's it. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned from it. This was part 2 of the chase car driver, and I think it's going to be my final part. I just wanted to show you the basics that one has to know before you jump in the game. And as a very important point is, start out as a chase. Don't do any lead, don't do anything else. Do chase, be a chase car driver until you really feel good about this. So there's a lot of tips available for chase. There is it's a real a good way to start a business. And the other thing is you will drive with lead cars, and you will learn from this what lead cars do. The next video is called Brokers, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This broker type will rob you blind. Here is how you spot them in 10 seconds.
Do we need brokers? Are brokers bad? Have I ever been ripped off by a broker? Let's find out. What is a broker? A broker acts as an agent for others, as in negotiating contracts, purchases, or sales in return for a fee or commission. So what do pilot car brokers do? They are the intermediary between the trucking company and the pilot car driver, and they provide work for the pilot car driver. However, what makes a pilot car broker different from a regular broker is that there is no contract involved and no liability from the broker. For example, a freight broker has to have a bond as an insurance to cover for any error or omission on the part of the freight broker. None of these things apply to a pilot car broker. A pilot car broker is simply a job finder for the pilot car driver. And believe it or not, the IRS has a tax deduction option called finder's commission to cover that subject. Let's look at the pilot car driver more closely. A pilot car broker's reputation depends on the quality of work of the pilot car driver. A pilot car driver who does a bad job will reduce the reputation of a broker. A pilot car broker's reputation also depends on finding a pilot car driver in a timely manner. If the broker doesn't find a pilot car in time, the trucking company will find another pilot car broker. If the pilot car broker is good at the three things: quality pilot car drivers, available at the right time, at an acceptable rate to the trucking company, he or she will have returning customers. And for a pilot car broker, a returning customer is a trucking company or a trucker that will call him over and over to get business or pilot car drivers from him. It might dawn on you slowly here that you as a pilot car driver are not the customer, but the customer is the trucking company or the trucker. So what are you to the pilot car broker? Well, you are the contractor who is getting the job done, and that's all. And you are doing this without having a contract. I know, it sounds crazy, but that's the way it is. If you have been at this business, you will notice that a pilot car broker rarely calls you to get you onto a load. Well, yes, some of them do, but it's not the majority. They simply put their request on a load board like Load Covered or pilotcarloads.com and wait for the calls to come in, and they then pick the one with the best rate. Even trucking companies do that. They have an email list. You are part of that email list, and they will fire out emails to that list to find pilot car drivers. Basically, they do the same thing. They wait for the calls from the pilot car driver to come into them. However, here is the big exception. If you have worked yourself up the chain to a reputation, you will get brokers to call you. This is especially the case when a trucking company is asking specifically for your name. Then you will get calls. It's kind of the sweet spot. It most often happens to high pole car drivers and steermen. Both have a special skill, and the trucking company wants to have someone they can trust. So now we come to the million-dollar question. Have I ever been ripped off by a pilot car broker? And the answer to the question is no. I have never been ripped off by a pilot car broker. However, I have been ripped off once by a carrier, believe it or not. And I lost in that one $2,500. Needless to say, that carrier has entirely vanished from market. And actually, the owner is subject to criminal charges right now. The name of that trucking company, by the way, is I Know How to Truck. Well, I tell you one thing, they don't know how to truck at all. Now I'm going to let you in on a secret. This is a secret on how to avoid those late payers or no payers. And that is a Facebook group. And the Facebook group is called High, Wide, Heavy. You must make yourself part of this group. It is an excellent group for any pilot car driver. Once you have applied and been accepted, click on the tab called Guides, and you will find a host of subjects that are all very important to you. Go to the guide number 3, low pay or slow pay companies, and there you will find the pilot car brokers and carrier that you should not work for. This list is highly accurate. If you don't do business with those that are on this list, you will be fine. Believe me, you will be fine. The pilot car business is a very well-paying business. There is no question about that. But if you don't know how to navigate the business side of things, you can get into troubles. Now, here are a few tips from me on how to stay out of troubles. As I said earlier, you are a contractor without a contract. And that in itself is a scary proposition. Therefore, the following is very important. During the phone call with a broker or a carrier, make sure you establish the following. The rate for the following items: miles, overnight hotel, daily rate. If less than 250 miles are driven, a daily rate is paid. No-go rate. That is when the load is not moving on any given day. And you have to make sure it is understood that when there is a no-go, the hotel has to be paid as well. Payment details. How will you be paid? ACH, check in the mail, Zelle, PayPal, etc. And when will the money arrive? And more on that last part later, as it is very important. Next, you ask the broker or carrier to send you a confirmation sheet with the above data along with the trucker phone number. If you get an email or text that will only give you the trucker's phone number but not the confirmation of what was discussed in the phone call, you send a message or email to the broker or carrier and put all the data of the conversation in writing and require him to acknowledge this immediately. In other words, there should be a text or email coming back saying, yes, this is what we have discussed. If you do not get an acknowledgement, call the broker and tell him you will not continue unless you get an acknowledgement of the agreement. Additionally, get a photo of your car parking beside the truck and the load. This is proof that you have attended the load in any civil court action that might ensue. Also, get a photo of the truck itself showing the DUT number, Department of Transportation number of the truck, and the truck number. Again, this is evidence. Now listen to me, the following is very, very important regarding the payment details. Do not accept any payment agreement that is more than 30 days out in the future. Do not accept anyone saying, I'll pay you when the carrier pays me. The payment must be done after 30 days. If the broker cannot cover the cost of a late paying carrier, he is not trustable. Don't do business with him. Do not do this. As I said in the beginning of the video, the carrier is the customer of the broker. If the customer doesn't pay the broker, if the carrier doesn't pay the broker, it's the broker's business to collect the money. That's why you've got the broker. If a broker tells you, I pay you when the trucker pays me, man, run. Run. This guy is a con man. If you follow these tips, you will be fine. And in a future video, I will go over the actions you can take if someone is paying you late. In other words, there are specific actions you can take to collect money. And collecting money is in itself a technology that you should know. See you in the next video.
The next video is called What Do You Do When You Don't Get Paid? A client duped me for $2,500. Here is the 3-step threat that will turn around the mess quick. Are you a pilot car driver who is wondering what happens if no one pays you for your pilot car trip? Stay until the end to learn how to ensure you are getting paid for your hard work and avoid the stress of unpaid pilot car trips. Now, before you dive in, a small orientation. Someone asked me, from where are you broadcasting? Well, I'm broadcasting from Florida. I've bought an acre over here in Florida and I put my RV on it. And this is where I hang out in the winter or when I do a lot of work on the East Coast, which I do. I do a lot of work over here. Now, my company is still in Texas and that is going to remain like this because Texas is a perfect state for a pilot car business. Okay, so back to the subject. I have been in the business for 6 years. And in these 6 years, I've done 300 trips, roughly 300 trips. And in that time period, there were 3 trips unpaid. And the 3 trips, I can give you right up front what they were worth. You know, how much money was involved. One trip was for $2,500. Another trip was for $1,000. And the third trip was for $350. Now, what did I do? I wrote off the $350 trip and I dealt with the $1,000 trip and the $2,500 trip. So now, what does this mean in the bigger picture? It means 3 trips out of 300 trips not being paid means that only 1% of the trips I did were not paid. This is a really small amount. If someone says to you, it's a big problem to not get paid in the paddock car business, that is not true. It is just not true. What can you do as a first protection against the potential problem? Just don't work with companies that you have no idea who they are, or brokers that you have no idea who they are. Now that is good advice for somebody who is in the paddock car business. It's not that great of an advice for somebody who is brand new coming into the paddock car business. You telling him, or I'm telling him, just don't do business with somebody you don't know. Well, you don't know anybody when you come in here newly. Now, one simple remedy for that is that I have a paddock car course, and part of that paddock car course, you get my personal preferred carriers and brokers. And these are exactly 50 or 51 of them. I think it's 50 that I will give you as part of that course. Below, there is a link that is a link to a webinar. And that webinar will tell you how to procure business for your pilot car business. And that webinar is for free. And that webinar will also give you a briefing what my course is. All right? So if you're interested in this, click on the link below in the description, and another link is in the first comment. There is a rule in business, and that is the longer you wait for a bill to get paid by a customer, the harder it will be to collect the money. The easiest way to nudge your invoice is by having a service called QuickBooks. And QuickBooks makes it very easy to nudge an invoice. And normally that's enough for your bill to get paid. The next point would be you do a phone call. You call up your broker, or you call up your carrier and say, the bill has not been paid and what's happening? And then most likely the reply you're going to get from the broker or the carrier, okay, different replies actually. The carrier might say, well, we need to negotiate. The bill is a little high unexpectedly, and we don't feel that's actually appropriate. So we need to negotiate the price. To which you reply, say what? This is agreed upon. We have an agreement, and that was what I followed. And I did my work, and I'd like to get paid, and I will not negotiate that price. At that point, the carrier will say, well, we cannot help you then, and hang up on me. A broker most likely may say, I haven't gotten the money from the carrier yet. So that is also a stupid answer, because that's why you have a broker. The broker is collecting the money. I'm not going to collect the money from the carrier if I work through a broker. I collect the money from the broker. So you just say this to the broker, dude, you are responsible for getting that money in, and you are responsible to pay me. And then he might say, well, I cannot help you. I don't have the money. You'll have to wait until I collect it. In both cases, there is one reply, and only one reply. And that is, I understand what you're saying. I do not agree with it. I think it's a stupid argument. What I will do is, I will go on social media and make it known that you are not paying me. And if you continue to not pay me, then I will take the matter to a small claims court. So then your next step is, you go on social media, you go to Facebook groups, and you simply say, I have been dealing with the carrier ABC, and he wants to negotiate the price. Has that happened to anybody else? And then you're going to get the replies. And that's really all you have to do. And then you discuss it on Facebook, on the Facebook group. This is the pilot car groups that I'm talking about. You just discuss it with them, what happened to you, what happened to me, etc., blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is really terrible. This is really terrible. That is bad public relations for that carrier. Right there, man. There's a whole bunch of pilot car drivers, literally thousands, that will take note of this and say, I won't be doing business with that guy. If it is a broker, the same effect will take place. That actually will hurt the public relation situation of that carrier or broker, and it will prompt him to pay you. I have received, based on that, phone calls like, you must take your destructive Facebook announcement off. It is not okay. It is libel and slander. Oh, it's not libel and slander. It's an observation. It's an experience. And it's based on facts. So it's not libel and slander. And the standard reply really is, okay, good. I can take it off, no problem. But, first pay me. I'm watching my account. The moment the money is in, I'm going to go back to social media and let everybody know. So then that really is something that has worked beautifully so far. Whenever I got into a tight spot. Another very good step to collect your money is to get a lawyer. Take any lawyer that, is collecting money as his service. Do not go to a collection agency. Collections agencies are highly ineffective. They really only are into collecting the cream of the cream, the easy stuff. And the easy stuff you can do yourself. You know what I mean? So don't take a collection agency. They're also going to chip off 30% of the collected money. So it's a big loss if you do that. Just simply find a lawyer who collects money or who has that service and get him to send a letter to the carrier or to the broker that collects the money. And it's coming from a lawyer, and that is pretty serious. And it usually costs about $40 or $50, maybe it costs $60. The next step, and that is a highly efficient step, is the small claims court. And you are filing a claim at the court of the carrier or broker's county. Okay, so to find a small claims court in a state, you just do the following. First, you type in the name of the state, and then you type in the county, and then you say small claims court. All right. So now you click on this, and this will give you, this is, here we go. This is the actual court. That's a PDF. Here we go. Tom Green County Small Claims Court, Texas. You click on it, and right there you will get all the needed description, data, how you file for your small claims request at the court. Okay, let's do another one. Let's take this off. Let's say, let's go for Illinois. Okay, that was one moment. Illinois, okay. And then let's see, let's do Chicago. There's gotta be a county. And we're gonna go again, small claims court. Easy. Let's see what we get. Same thing again. This is up there. We don't need that. It's just some ad or some lawyer firm. So that's the Cook County. Pro Se Small Claims Court. That's always great when they throw in some Latin words that nobody has any idea what that means. But in any case, that is the actually Office of the Illinois Courts, Small Claims, Complaint, State of Illinois Office of the Courts. So I think you could click on that one. Let's see what this gets us. All right, gives you again all the data, how to do it. I don't know what this Pro C means. The Pro C branch works as follows.
I must be pro se attorneys. Oh, okay. So that would be wrong. So then let's go to the other one. And let's do this one here. There you go. That looks like the right thing. So you see, you can easily just find your small claims court of your concerned county and state by putting it into the computer like that. So what does this mean? This means that when you, let's say you are a pile car driver in Oklahoma, and the person that you worked with is from Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. This is the carrier or the broker that you worked with, and you want to now file a claim on them. You have to go to that county.
I just give you the two examples where I had personal experience, and that was Virginia and Tennessee. Let's start with Tennessee. I located the court, just like I just showed you in the video. I located the court, drove there, and brought them my data. At that small claims court, what they asked me is, do you want this to be served by the sheriff, or do you want a private agent to serve the papers to the person? And I said back then, well, the sheriff. Now here's a mistake I did. I just gave the sheriff the address that I thought was the right address. The sheriff went there, knocked on the door, and found out it's the wrong address. So then the sheriff calls me back and says, I got the wrong address. You got to give me the right address to do this. The next time I was in Tennessee, I went back to the court. Your case now doesn't get dropped because of that. It just stays in the system. And you go back and say, I want to serve it again. So what I did this time is I had 3 potential addresses for that culprit. And I drove around in Memphis and went to all these places, all 3 places. And I found out 2 of these places were bogus. And the 3rd place that was valid was his home address. So I went back to the court and said, I have now the right address. And the court said again to me, what do you want to use, the sheriff or a private agent? And now I said the private agent. And that was another mistake I did. I shouldn't have done this. I should have gone back to the sheriff. The private agent was a fake agent. And there was probably a lot of these agents on their list, fake guys. Anyway, he did nothing. I had to basically get there back a 3rd time. But before I even got back a 3rd time, I found out this has become basically a criminal investigation. The guy is going to jail. The next one, of course, was the Virginia one. I really liked that one. I went to the small claims court. I gave them my data, and they basically, I said, okay, do I have to serve this or whatever? And they said, no, you don't have to serve it. Don't worry. We will take care of everything. And on that one, I made sure that I drove the business location of that guy. Make sure it's really the business location. So I had the right location, so that wouldn't happen again. So I went to the court, put my data. They said they're going to do the serving, and I could just go home, and they will let me know. They will send me an email for the court date. The day before the court, the carrier called me up and said, how much money do you want? So he paid me the $1,000 and this thing was over. I tell you one thing, in most cases, just talking about that small claims court is enough to scare the shit out of them. The next video is called Independent Pile Car Driver. The shocking truth. If you're employed, you have job security, right? False. Independent drivers are the only ones that have true job security. And here is why. I'm going to tell you the truth about independent pile car driving. The shocking truth about independent pile car driving is that there is no job security unless you are an independent pile car driver. That sounds like completely backwards, but I tell you, that's the way it is. Only an independent pile car driver has true job security. Now I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. Number one, let's just talk about money. This week, for example, I made $3,040. $3,040 this week alone. The more money you got in your pocket, the more security and survival you have in your life. You will never make that kind of money as a employed pile car driver, not even close. You're probably gonna make about 20 to 25% of what I'm getting. That is ridiculous. It's just way too small. So now, what stops you from being independent? What's the thing that really backs you off from going independent as a pilot car driver right from the start? There is probably a few things, that I can think of that you may be thinking of, because those things I myself were, considering. I had, worries like, am I going to get enough business? Well, truth of the matter is, yes. How are you going to get business? A pilot car load board. There's 2 of them. I recommend one. Pilot car load board is it called, and the other one is called load covered, and I have a whole video on that. Another way of getting business is you watch my webinar, my free webinar. It has, the title of that webinar is 3 ways to a 6-figure income. Those 3 ways are all about how to get loads, and they are really, really hot tips that you won't get anywhere else. So watch that webinar, it's for free. The other thing of a sure way to get business is simply you do my course, because as part of my course, you're going to get the 50 preferred pilot car brokers and oversized load carriers that I personally use. You get the whole list from me for your use. The other thing that maybe, may back you off or causes worry is self-confidence. Confidence in, are you going to make it? Are you going to be good enough? Or stuff like that. There is tons of info on that right here on that YouTube channel. The other thing you can do is watch every single video I did. You go to the video tab, which you see up there on the homepage. You click on the video tab, you go to the bottom of all the videos that there, and you start with the bottom video and you work through all the videos up in chronological sequence. You learn everything I ever learned. Now, if that is not enough, or if you don't feel secure about that, I understand. That is definitely can happen. Then do my course, because part of the course, I do mentoring. And I'm not too bad at it. Okay? Yeah. Another worry you may have is, do you know how to establish a business? The business of pilot car driving is probably the easiest business to establish. Really. It is really simple. All you need to do is go to the IRS website and get an EIN number. That's an employer identification number. Get that number. That's it. Next, Google how to set up an LLC in my state. Follow the instructions. If your state is kind of asking you for a lot of money to set up a business, skip it. Just set yourself up as a self-employed person. You got your EIN, you can call yourself self-employed. Your business name is going to be a DBA. It's called the Doing Business As. Give yourself a business name, and that's that. It's as simple as that. America has probably the easiest way to set up a business of anywhere else in the world. Again, if you want to have more in depth on that, totally okay. Just watch the webinar that also has business tips on it, and then you can go to the course if you want, and then you get a real detailed rundown of how to set up a business that is going to make you a lot of money. Another consideration you may have is money, because it is true, you have to you have to put out a bit of money. Let me tell you what I did. I just put the whole stuff, everything on a credit card. If you don't have a credit card, if you can't do that, it is not a problem. This is the one situation where I would agree with, then don't start as an independent driver. Work for somebody else, and then as soon as you have enough money, then switch over to independent pilot car driver. That's how I would do it. But most of you are going to have a credit card, and I just banged it on the credit card, and I made twice as much money back in the first months of pilot car driving as a rookie. Now, here is my observation though. The biggest downside that I see for anyone who starts to work for somebody else and hopes that that person will groove him in and really show him the ropes. Here is my experience on that. Recently, I was driving with a trucker. At the end of that trip, that trucker was so upset with that front car, mostly because the guy really only had a certain set of things he said or observed. He was in a sort of a real, fixed frame of mind of what he was saying to the trucker. That wasn't helpful to the trucker. That trucker told that car to go home. That guy was a pilot car driver that was employed by somebody else. That pilot car driver then told the trucker the things he was telling to the trucker during the trip were the things that his boss told him to say. He told him that the boss took him on a short trip and showed him, say this, say that, and that was it. In other words, that guy really missed out on the scope of it. What's the big picture, that he was supposed to take care of? So what the trucker then replied to him was, okay, here's what you have to do. You already had that little grooving from your boss. You need definitely more. And you should do the course that Herbert has, the back guy. He has a course, do his course. There is two solid routes to get into this business. One is the YouTube channel, the other one is my course. So pick one of them. The next video is called The Hidden Costs of Running a Pilot Car Business. That $100,000 a year dream, it'll cost you $15,000 right up front if you miss this. In this video, we're going to talk about the hidden costs of running a pilot car business. This video could also have been called, What are the real overhead expenses for a pilot car business? I will also tell you a story how I messed up my finances of running a pilot car business and what I did to resolve it. But first of all, let's talk about the hidden costs of running a pilot car business. What you're going to see here are the pilot car business expenses that I have put together. So it starts out with the gas on a pilot car. This calculation here is based on doing 300 miles a day and for 5 days a week. And that brings you to $870 a month being spent on fuel. The car repair and maintenance expenses per year are $8,000. The next item is the pilot car insurance. What you see here on that list is what I pay in Texas. Texas is one of the cheapest states when it comes to pilot car insurance. So as I covered in my insurance videos, there's a playlist on that on the channel. If you want to know really all about insurance, watch my playlist on that one. Now the next items on the list are the load board services, the GPS in route, the registration, the National Pilot Car Association membership, $25 a year, uspilotcars.com. That's a website that basically carries a pilot car directory. And this $23.77 a year is well spent. You get business from just advertising your name and your website, if you have one, your phone number on that website. People, truckers, companies go there to look for pilot car drivers. Hotel expenses, more on that later. Food expenses, phone, wireless. I use Mint Mobile. I pay once a year $360, which is up to $30 a month. That is really cheap. I think it's the cheapest anywhere in the US. And then I have a thing here called Business Phone. Ring Central Business Phone. This is basically, you can have a business phone number if you want to have that. You don't have to have that. Then I pay, $300 a year for my website. QuickBooks, that's $240 a year. And then, the rent or home expenses, whatever you have, it's about what I have, $1,200 a year. Then I have insurance for my RV, or registration for my RV. And then I have a loan where I pay $239 a month. So my expenses add up to $5,572.49. That brings us to the next calculation, and that is how much money do I actually pay per mile to be on the road. And as you can see here, it's 92 cents. That's what I pay. Your calculation, if you do what I just showed you to do, you may come up with a different calculation, okay? But that is what I have to pay in order to drive. As I have shown you in my chart here, in my first chart, I have included hotel expenses in that breakdown. This requires more explanation. Let's look at this here. My first point is the general rates for a pilot car driver include no-go money, $250, overnight money, $100, $450 to $600 day rate for trips below 250 miles, and then $350 for mini trips which are below 150 miles. This at once tells you that you are getting also paid when you do not drive. Specifically, $250 for the no-go and $100 for the overnight. This aspect is not included in the overhead calculation. The second point is I included the hotel expenses as an expense, and I included it in the calculation to establish the rate per mile. Why? Because this is my buffer zone. If I exclude the hotel expenses, my miles rate will be lower. However, I still have to pay for it. Therefore, I included the hotel expenses in my miles rate, and any hotel money I will get will be income. All right? So the next item that needs more explanation are the vehicle maintenance and repair expenses that I showed you in the beginning. Now, what you see here is the breakdown of the basic vehicle maintenance and repair. It includes the oil change, tire replacement, which is something you have to do once a year. Transmission oil change, not a transmission flush. This is a transmission oil change, also once a year. The window has to be replaced once a year. Spark plugs and coils, they may need to be replaced once a year, depends. Brake pads and rotors, again, possibly need to be replaced once a year. A coolant flush once a year. The air filters, they add up to about $150 a year. And then there is an amount of $4,200 I added here, which is for motor mounts, suspension repairs, major parts breaking on the car. Now, these $4,200 here, they are really, I'd say, conditional. You may or may not spend it. If you don't spend it, then put it in set aside. Anything not spent of the above amount should go toward purchasing your next car. And I tell you, that gets me to my story. I have told you before that I had a Honda Odyssey as my first car. And I had this thing only for 4 months. And what happened is it broke down. On a trip through Indianapolis, the car overheated in the winter. So that meant I have to buy a new car. I had no money in set aside. And I tell you, this is terrible. I had credit cards, but I had them paid off, but I had no plus money. Well, okay, I had maybe $1,000 plus. I had to ask my son for $3,000, which was kind of devastating for me. And my son was saying, oh, sure, here is the money. He gave me the money instantly, and I later on paid him much more back than what he gave me, just because I was so happy for his support. But that is what got me back on the road. But it is something that was really stupid on my part, and nobody should do this. The moment you have your debts paid off, don't spend money on anything else but building up a set aside for repairs or for a new car. Okay, this is my advice to you. Immediately, as soon as you can, build up a set aside, a cash cushion that is good enough to buy a new car just in case your car breaks down. All right? Thanks for listening. Next video is called What's Going On Inside My Car. This video is about a tour of the inside of my minivan. This is a video I'm doing because a number of you actually asked for that video. So here it is. I'm going to give you a full tour. But before we get into it, I want to talk about a couple of things. If you're interested in a more professional approach, I have a webinar that is also free. It gives you 3 very, very important tips how to create or procure business for your pilot car. And at the end of that webinar, you also learn about my professional pilot car course. So again, there is a link for it below. And frankly, everybody should watch it anyways because of these 3 tips that you get when you do watch this. And these 3 tips are not anywhere on the Pilot Car 101 channel. They are only on the webinar. So now, where am I right now? You're asking. We are in Florida. This is my RV here. And here is the piece of land I bought. And I tell you one thing, I would have never been able to buy this piece of land if I wasn't a pilot car driver. So let's check the inside. Okay, so first here I have cameras. This is the camera that basically in some movies you see me in the car. That camera is that. And then if there is a police officer visiting me, it's gonna take a recording of that, his face when it looks in here. Anyway, so I have another camera up here. This is what takes a video of the front of the car. And then I have a camera in the back there. These 2 are connected. The middle one, this one here, and that one is recording in the back. And I feel this, my head here. This is like a really good way of keeping your glasses safe on the dash, by the way. So then, down here. Okay, so now here I have my pad. My iPad sits here. Then I have here, you see, this is the remote for the top amber light. And down there is the speaker for the CB radio, screwed in here. And then I have here my connection to the power. And then I have here a distribution location. I bought this thing in a truck stop. And I have a little thing sitting on top of it. You can see that. And here I have basically a backup amber light on the roof. Let me just quickly show you that. Anyway, this is how it gets turned on. This, you know, and here, this is the front and the back. So let me show you this on the top. There is here is that amber light. This is the backup one. And this is the main amber light. And this piece here is also in the back one. There's 2 of them. And then this is the main one. All right. And then, since we're already looking at the top, here is the antenna, big antenna, and I have the antenna cable coming in here. This is just holding it closed. There's no rain is coming in here. Interestingly enough, it's not causing that. And the cable comes in here to the CB radio, which is down here. I keep my CB radio here, not up here. Sometimes it gets so hot up here that I'm worried that the insides of the CB radio melt. Then over here, I have my book of regulations, and here my additional my additional handheld radio. This is the backup radio. It doesn't have an antenna right now because I switched the antennas between the other one. And that is, oh yeah, and then I have this little booklet here. I bought this at, I think, Staples. I write in here the name of the trucker, the name of any paddock car driver, if it's a high, what's the pole, if I do a high pole, height of the load, height of the pole, and then anything the trucker tells me, or things I'm supposed to remember, or things I myself say, I better take a note of this because I have to remember after the trip, all goes in here. Also something to write the miles down here and so forth, which I then put into my trip log and stuff like this that I keep. All right. So normally here in this seat, I also have my a backpack, which has all my computers in it and any cables I have, and my bag of vitamins and my wallet and stuff like this. And I secure that bag usually with those two things. All right. So then, and this is my mic here, you know. And then back here, you see here the freezer. We talked in the last video. We talked about that one. And here is the stuff I have stored in here. Here are my boots. Then here I have a piece. Whoa! I already managed to break this thing. In this is the battery. If the battery is down, I use that external battery to start the car. This thing is really good. Man, I'm so happy to have this thing. I have helped myself tons of times and other paddock car drivers. I just managed, I don't know how I did this, how I broke this thing here. Anyway, there we go. And then in here, I have all this is my shoes for the shower. And in here, I simply have any cables or so that I use. You know, for example, the cable for that thing here is in here. If I go to a hotel, I just take this, roll it in, and I take this with me to connect the freezer and the cable to the power. Now here is where I have dry food. So this is actually my wet food. This is my dry food bag. And down here, I have a bag. In this bag, I have a printer. Look at this. It's an Epson printer. It's a good piece of printer. Works. You can print. You know, you can connect it to your phone. Works like a charm for me. And I also keep the printing paper in here. I have that in here. There's the cable, the charging cable for this thing. What you can't do with that thing is you can't scan anything, but that is such a rare thing, you know, scanning something, that I didn't care. But if you really want to use it for scanning as well, there's different ones. You just have to make sure you get one of those. Now again, if you want to know about these kind of things, if you want to have links to that, you have to let me know, and I will absolutely add links to that. Okay, and then here's another bag I have, which is really, you know, okay, this is actually a good bag. Good bag, yes, right. First of all, what's in here is an important piece. And that is, if I get called into a way station, the police wants to inspect me, troopers want to inspect me, I come with this book here. With this book and my wallet. My wallet has the driver's license, and this book has everything else. This is my this insurance. Yeah, this is the piece of paper that goes to if you have an accident. This is my Texas registration. Any papers? I mean, this is my certification, DOT stuff, various permits, Kansas stuff. You know, Kansas has this big stuff going on. The New Mexico thing. Am I still on this thing here? Yes. New Mexico thing. The national flag and stuff, etc. You know? So, I'm working with one hand here. All right, so this is in here, plus anything, there's some other stuff in here. For example, when I I keep a record of all my repairs, which I have in this thing here. You don't have to open it. It's just, you know, one of those things where you can keep a lot of things. I keep all copies of all repairs in there. So I don't, believe it or not, I went into situations where somebody says to me, you know, we should replace your spark plug, spare your mileage, and your and do a full thing on that. And I go like, I mean, you know, let me check. And I look through this thing and I found out, well, no, 2 months ago I did this already. Get lost, you know. You know, it's that's why I keep that. Why? I mean, I have a tendency to forget things, you know. Most of you probably are perfect at this, but I can forget things. All right, so now let me put this back in order here quickly, and let's look at the back of the car. Let's go here. All right. Okay. So now this is how the back of the car looks like. Here is the mattress. You see? That mattress is an RV mattress. It's a real mattress. Let me just pull this. This is the bag, sleeping bag I bought at the Walmart. It's actually a really good one. I made sure I had one that is not too warm in the summer, and still protects me from the cold in the winter. So let's put this here for now. Okay, so this is the pillow, and this is a real mattress. Stick this in there. You know, it's a real mattress. I'll show you. Here, see, it's a real mattress. So this thing gives me very good sleep. So then on the other hand here, I have my cones here, and there was a second piece up here. I lost it, but it's still usable. Now on the left here, I have I use this to change tires. This normally goes here, but I don't keep it here because it takes forever to pull it out of here. And when you are in this situation, need a change of tire, you want to have this really ready quickly. Okay, here we go. Just put it there temporary. This is my emergency kit, also per the regulations, and this is my 10-pound fire extinguisher. Under it are the triangles, and I have a 10-pound one. You can also use 2 5-pound ones. This is to be okay for all of the US. You know, some people say in Florida you must have a 10-pound one. You cannot have 2 5-pound ones. Not true. I've been inspected twice in Florida. Every time they commented, oh, you got a 10-pound one. You know, 2 5-pound ones are okay too. All right, man. So anyway, just saying this, you know, it's okay to have 2 5-pound ones. Then here we go. Let me put this back. Now, what you see here, sit down. So this thing here is my box. This box I use to keep all the equipment. So now let's go to the other side. Here I just keep everything. I don't have to go through this. It's just really what you need for basically per the certifications you do, the things you need go in there for me. All right. So then I have some other extra things. This is to keep sunlight out and keep lights out, night lights out when I sleep in here. It's on one side it's black and the other one is silver. It's a very good piece. Then here, this is my high pole bag. So back here, and then below there, you see this is my high pole measurement. So both things are in here. Fit perfectly in here. And then this is my wardrobe. You know, the jackets I use. Yeah. So then we come to this here. We talked about the boots, the dry food, printer, and other illegal papers. And then put this here. So what I have here is the helmet, hard hat. I keep here the stop paddle and the flags, 2 flags, in case I lose one. And then under the hard hat, I have my shower bag. And then below the shower bag is my clothing. All my clothing is in there. All right. So then back here, I have a bag hanging. This is my laundry bag. I throw in my dirty laundry. And believe it or not, up there is a toothbrush. And over here is a toothbrush. Why the heck do I have toothbrushes hanging in my car? You know, very good question. These toothbrushes are made of horsehair. And I don't like to put plastic in my mouth first thing in the morning and rub it against my skin and my teeth. I hate plastic. Plastic sucks. So I have those guys. They cost a little bit more. And then I don't put them into these bags, into these plastic containers, you know, to store them in your shower bag or something like this. No, I hang them there so they dry out during the day. Any bacteria can get dried out, dies in the air. And I have clean brushes. This one is the morning brush, and this one is the evening brush. Okay, now you're gonna say, oh man, he's really fixated on that shit. Well, maybe I am, but who cares? So then, oh yeah, let's go to the other, oh yes. The other door is important. Then, so how do I move around in the car? Okay, let's close that door. Okay. So here is the seat, all right? Here is the seat. Here's where I sit. Now, what I do sometimes, since I'm not a particularly big person, I step on this thing here and literally hop over here. So I'm in here. Somebody who is big, you know, by big I mean fat, you know, or tall, he'll have a problem to do that. He will have a problem to do that. So for me, it's fine. But for those guys who cannot do it, the other door is important. Let's go to the other side. There you go. There you can get into the car easily and lay down. The next video is called Build a Loyal Clientele. You think that's important? You're right. It is important. There is one phrase that will get brokers to request you by name. Find out what is the sweet spot in pilot car driving and how to get there. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to build a loyal clientele fast. Let me tell you right up front, a lot of pilot car drivers that have been in the business for 2 years or less have never heard of these things or don't use them. I even found pilot car drivers that have been in the business for 5 years or something like that, and they only know a few of these tips. My last tip might shock you, but give me a chance to fully explain that. 3 of the tips regarding building a clientele are on the webinar, on the free webinar, which you will find below in the link in the description. This free webinar will give you 3 more very important tips how to build a clientele. So make sure after you've done watching this video, you go to the webinar and watch the other super important tips that you will need in order to build a loyal clientele. My webinar is called 3 Ways to a 6-figure income as a pilot car driver without asking anyone for a favor. My first tip is a very simple one. It is the use of a business card. And you should dish it out like candy. A business card will give you a professional look. You are a businessman, and the businessman has a business card, obviously. Truckers will ask you for it. Not every trucker will ask you for it, but there are truckers that will ask you for it. Other people, Pilot car drivers might ask you for it. People you meet anywhere. I have seen people that were from an electrical company that wanted my business card. The way you get one is you create a free account on canva.com and you use it to create a business card for yourself. Then go to Office Depot or Staples and have it printed. When you give it to the trucker, put the broker who connected you to this trucker on the back of your card so the trucker knows who to call if he wants to get you again. This is a very cheap way of promoting yourself and very effective. Now, my next tip is to provide very good service to the trucker. And truckers love it. They really will respect it. Now, you may ask, what is the big deal? I mean, good service, yes, it's obvious, an obvious thing. Well, I have made this into a sort of a game for myself. Good service. And what I do is, I set myself a goal before I get onto a trip. And that is, I want to do the trip with no flap. I want to do everything perfectly good. Now, if I do something bad, which is I miss something, or I'm not calling out something, or I'm just doing a mistake that would count as a mistake for a pilot car driver, I give myself a minus point. Now, if I do something really good, like extraordinarily very good, for example, let's say the trucker says we should go, we should take a right turn at the next road, and I find out that that is actually a mistake. I tell the trucker politely, of course, that we shouldn't do that. And if that pans out that I'm right, I give myself a plus point. Okay, so what I do at the end of the trip, I have a bunch of minus points and a bunch of plus points. And so for me, a perfect trip is when I have more plus points than minus points. And you think that's kind of corny what I'm doing, but I tell you, it has been working for me. I have, because of that, I have been pushing myself up and up and up and up the quality chain, my quality chain. Another tip is, be dressed well. Now, that might come as a surprise too. You know, you may say, this is truckers, this is transport industry. Who the heck is dressed well? Well, let me explain. Have a nice vest. Make sure your equipment is in good order. Have a good looking car. And don't show up with a car like this. And don't show up with flip-flops or shorts. All of that is unprofessional, and the truckers take note of it, I assure you. Here is a business rule for you. Good appearance will increase income, bad appearance will reduce it. My next tip is help the trucker. One extraordinary way is to simply help the trucker above your regular duty as a pilot car driver. When I come to a place where the trucker is loading, I ask the trucker if he wants me to help him with loading the truck. Most of them will politely decline, but they appreciate it. A few will say yes, and then they will give you a little harmless task to do. Some may ask you to deal with a binder. If that is the case, just say to the trucker, great, but you have to show me how to do it because I never did it. Unless, of course, you know how to handle it. And by the way, it's not very difficult to deal with one of these binders. A woman can do that too. Now, if you're up to it, you may offer to help him unloading. Again, if you do not know how to help unloading, just ask him what you should do. I have done it many times and made some real good business connections. If you're mechanically inclined, you are in a sweet spot.
I have those two.
Okay, all right.
If you're mechanically inclined, you are in a sweet spot. Truckers will love your help and come back to you over and over, but not everyone can do that. Like me, I have no mechanical talent. Now look in the link below in the description section and click on the free webinar link and learn about the other 3 very important tips that will make you a lot of money. The last video is called installation mistakes. This wiring error fried my CB radio and my light bar. Don't let it happen to you. This video is about the exterior equipment of the van. In the earlier video, we talked about the interior equipment that I carry, and this one is really about the exterior equipment and the installation of it, and specifically a big mistake that I did that I will gonna cover later on in the video. I'm not gonna start out with my big mistakes, no. Okay, if you want to know about a pro course, then watch the webinar below, link is below, and it includes 3 hot tips how you get business for your pilot car. Okay, so let's start with the subject. There are 3 major items that get installed on your pilot car, and if you are like me, who is really not a mechanic genius, then you will need help to get these 3 things installed. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the oversized load sign. The oversized load sign that is on the bumper. The point is, how do you fix that oversized load sign properly to the car? Let's get out. All right, so what you see here is you see these things I installed on the bumper. You see that one? So I basically took the bumper off, and I did this on both sides. Here the same thing. I took the bumper off and I screwed this in from the inside out, you know. First of all, actually, I taped the bumper on there, and then I made the markings, you know, with a black marker, and then I drilled in it. Or actually, the drilling then was done by a guy that helped me on this. Let me just get one of those signs. There are 2 types of oversized load signs. One is for a car, for a pilot car, for like my van here. And this is a smaller one, you see. And this here, what I'm going to show you now, is the standard oversized load sign that goes on a truck. All right, here we go. So now, look at the difference. It's huge. Difference is huge between the 2 signs. Of course, mine is a little darker, but it's only because it's old. You see? So, you want to put this sign on your card, not this sign. And on my video about equipment, I'm specifically giving you a link to that sign here. But you also have a link to that sign because you need to carry those signs in case the trucker loses one or more and needs your help. So you see, it's very simple. Just get screwed on here, and that's it. And the same here, etc. You know, on all the sides. That's basically it on that. That's how quickly you put it on, and this is also a guarantee that doesn't fall off. Now, let me show you another way of putting that sign on. You see here a car that I saw recently, a pilot car, where the pilot car driver actually put this on the straps, which is pretty usual. I've seen this many times on others. However, that one is specifically interesting because he also has straps that go vertical to keep it in place. Because that is usually the problem when you use these straps, that it can fly off. However, how this guy did it, he put vertical straps on it, and that is not moving. That is, I did quite some trips with that pilot car driver. This thing did not move. So this is another possibility if you don't want to do this what I did, you know, putting screws in your bumper. Now I am going to add a link to that particular sign in this video again, just in case you haven't bought it yet, so you get the right one. By the way, one thing I want to tell you, and this is, in the last video, I forgot to tell you this. This is another kind of equipment I have here. This is where I keep my CB radio. I have a hammer here to check the tires if they are inflated properly or not. And this thing is also self-defense. And then I have here a gauge, a tire pressure gauge. And of course, my glass. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure you know that. So now we are going to talk about the CB radio and the antenna. CB radio is here. The antenna is up here. Have the installation done by a professional. Tell the professional that you want to have the radio calibrated and you want to have the antenna tuned to the radio. It's pretty normal that this is being done, but I found some CB guys that didn't really just get that they're supposed to do that. So it's good if you say this early in the conversation. The way you find a CB shop is simply Google it, CB shop near me. Let me show you how this looks on my car. Okay, so this is my battery here. You can see when you look here, you see there is actually several wires going up here where it takes the battery. Well, one of those wires is going to the CB radio. So you see the antenna up here, okay? You see there's a space here between the antenna and the back of the car. The specialist at Walcott Radio told me to keep that space there so the antenna has a place to bounce off and then go on its way. So, another little detail. So let me tell you about the big flop that I had. I got all my equipment installed, actually done by professionals. After a couple of weeks, I noticed that my amber light wouldn't work properly, would turn off and on, patterns would change on the thing by itself. CB radio quality was very bad. It was not very good. At one point, I was driving with some oversized loads. It was actually a cover on several oversized loads. And in the midst of that trip, my amber light utterly turned off. Couldn't be turned back on again. Basically, what happened? I mean, first of all, in that situation, the truckers decided, okay, let's keep driving. Let's keep Herbert between the cars. Hopefully nobody is going to see it. And, you know, let's just complete the trip. And that went fine. We actually didn't get pulled out by the cops. And so the whole thing was completed. But the point is, it was big bad PR for me. It was just really upsetting. Now, what was the reason for that? The reason for that was that the CB radio and the amber light was both connected to the battery. Both took the power from the battery from the same terminal that I showed you in the beginning. Well, that is wrong. That's why I had this disturbance. Additionally, what I showed you before, my antenna is in the back now. Well, at that time, the antenna was in the front, very near to the amber light. Okay, that was a wrong setup. The reason for that is very simple. These amber lights are not insulated. They have zero insulation. So they put out wavelengths or whatever that interfere. The CB radio is not insulated either. That interferes. These things interfere with each other on a constant basis when they are working, you know. So that's why you have to keep these things different. I hope I made this clear. If you have questions about this, definitely ask me in the comments. I always reply on the comments, okay? So in summary, the CB radio gets connected to the battery. He gets the power from the battery directly. The antenna is in the back, 6 inches to 1 foot away from the edge of the corner, from the edge of the roof. The wire gets put down, comes on the floor, down to the front, onto the CB radio. The amber light, a drill was put into the roof, and it is then routed to the wire harness of the car. There you go. That's the simplicity of it, to keep those things apart and so they don't interfere. The only 3 things you need to earn $100K a year. My webinar spills the beans. Now watch the webinar link in the description below.